Hello and welcome to a new section on the channel that I'm calling Cruising the Cuttings, taking a look at the top news stories about canals, canal boats and from around the world of narrowboating. In this edition, engines, navigation and new waterways. The top story today. Speeding boaters could soon get penalty points added to their boat licence in an attempt to get them to slow down. The system, which would work much as it does with the UK's car driving licence, would see boaters causing a wash or rocking other boats to be logged and have their licence endorsed. Once a certain number of points is reached, the boat could be impounded and the owner banned, at least temporarily. The proposals will also mean speed detectors being put up at notorious hotspots around the network. These include some long stretches of mooring on the canals where liveaboards have often complained about other craft coming past too fast. One possibility being considered is to send banned boaters on a speed awareness course, again much as they do with car drivers. Under the plans, novice boaters would also be set an absolute speed limit of 1.5 miles an hour until they've logged at least 200 hours of cruising. A survey will be sent to boat owners next year to see where the system should be tested first. The European Union is apparently considering legislation which would force all inland marine craft to abandon diesel engines entirely from as soon as 2020. The move is being mooted as a way to cut pollution from both emissions and noise, especially on rivers and canals which go through urban environments. Despite the UK leaving the EU 2 years from now, the new regulation would come into force before Brexit, so all narrowboaters would be affected and would have to replace their engines. The move follows growing anxiety about and legislation against diesel engines in cars. Asked what alternatives should be considered, some of the MEPs involved in the proposals have apparently advocated a return to horse-drawn craft, that is to say, a horse on the towpath pulling the narrowboat behind them. Well, our reporter Flora Pilo is live on a canal just outside London for us. Flora, what more can you tell us about this?
Thank you, David. Yes, here I am on the scene. So I've been speaking to many of the boaters here and it seems like many of them are aggravated by this bill. They're very much against the idea, of course, because it would mean that every single boat here would have to spend thousands of pounds replacing their engines, many of whom can't afford to do this, and rightly point out that in fact the EU has not offered a viable alternative to their diesel engines. Of course, those for the bill are arguing we should go back to the old ways of boats pulled along by horses. Of course, with the massive increase in boats on the water these days, this would cause manure to pile up on the towpath in a devastating effect. Now, others are suggesting we should look forward to the future technology-wise, using things like solar, bike-powered and even punting boats. Now, this is not something that's going to be an easy, quick fix. It's a difficult one, and let me tell you, the EU is in for a fight on its hand. Let's see what they do next. Back to you in the studio, David.
A new trial intended to help canal boaters who can't read maps easily will see coloured dye being dropped into the water so as to identify different canals by their different colours. Special pumps and filtration systems will be installed at canal junctions to extract the colour and make sure that it doesn't drift into the wrong waterway. The trial and the technology will be starting on the Coventry and North Oxford canals, with Hawkesbury Junction the first point where the filters will come into use. Organisers say they're excited by the prospect of a new way of navigating a route, but admit that implementing the technology onto the Birmingham Canal navigations will prove technically challenging. The first new major inland waterway in the UK could be built between Birmingham and London by 2030. In an apparent pushback against the demands of modern travel, a group of hire-boat companies, entrepreneurs and venture capitalists have put forward designs for a brand new wide canal which they're labelling LS2 or Low Speed 2. The route is specifically designed to wind its way around any obstructions, villages, sites of special scientific interest, or indeed anywhere where anyone raises an objection. The group behind the proposals say it will radically add to the journey time between the capital and the second city, putting as many as several days onto the journey. A much longer term and even more ambitious plan has even been mooted for an extension of the canal from Limehouse to Dover and thereon to Europe. It would go via a new aqueduct being built in one of the Channel Tunnel's service tunnels coming out at Calais. The prospect is being welcomed by our French neighbours.
We think it's a very good plan, to be honest, because it is nice to come through the Channel Tunnel on an aqueduct. It's rather different, and people can come and enjoy our beautiful canals in France. We have the Canal de Midi. We probably have some other canals too, but we think it's a very good plan, and also, like the English always, insane plan.
And finally, you may remember an ongoing and tricky discussion about whether the UK's Canal and River Trust should take over responsibility for the Environment Agency's rivers. But that debate could be about to pale into insignificance, as reports have come to light that the CRT is in preliminary talks with NASA. According to confidential documents posted to the WikiBoatiLeaks website, the US Space Administration is concerned about the ancient canals on Mars. They say that with private companies soon to offer space tourism and even manned missions to the Red Planet, an official authority needs to be in place to ensure the integrity and history of the Martian waterways. And with little canal expertise in the States, the UK could be well placed to take a leading role. It does bring a whole new meaning to the CRT's Share the Space campaign, outer space in this case. And that's it for this bulletin on Saturday the 1st of April 2017. Thank you for watching.